What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best wand with sword and shield build in Throne and Liberty. So in this guide I will give you a quick overview of the setup that I like to call as the Paladin build. Then after that I will explain what skills and upgrades should you focus on. Then as well we'll see what is the best gear and how to get it for both the mid game and the full end game. And then finally we will go over the weapon masteries, stats, your skill rotations, and even what guardian should you use. So we would be able to be as tanky as possible while doing a lot of healing and damage at the same time, and much more. This Paladin setup is very unique, in the sense that we are going to be a tank that can heal at the same time. Players usually prefer just to go healer or tank separately, but the question is, what happens when you combine all the roles together? Well, we get this monster that can tank and heal at the same time, while still doing CC and big AoE damage. I personally haven't ever died even once in this build, so if you're ready to not even notice the enemy hits and heal more than any other healer, then this is the build for you. So let's move over to the setup. For the choice of weapons we are going with the wand and the sword and shield. And first of all we have our skills. So for defensive skill we use the shield survival technique, while for active skills we get the shield strike, provoking roar, shield throw, counter barrier, stalwart bastion, touch of despair, swift healing, blessed barrier, invincible wall, a shot at victory, curse explosion, and time for punishment. As you can see from the gameplay, I don't have all of these same skill icons on my bar. It is because the skill icons will change depending on our specialization setup. So our shield strike will turn into the piercing strike, and a shot at victory will turn into annihilation blade. Then for passives, we want to go with the Resilient Mind, Aegis Shield, Spectrum of Agony, Vrad's Beacon, Devotion and Emptiness, Selfless Soul, Noble Revival, and Impenetrable. Then as for skill upgrade priority, for active skills, we mainly want to focus on the Shield Strike, Touch of Despair, Shield Survival Technique, Swift Healing, and Curse Explosion. While for passive skills, we focus mainly on the Impenetrable, Devotion and Emptiness, Vrad's Beacon, Resilient Mind, and Selfless Soul. And then for the rest of your skills, they're not as important, so just upgrade them as you progress through the game. Also, remember to always upgrade all of your skills to blue first before moving on to the purple. Next, we have the skill specialization, and for the shield strike, we select the piercing strike and aggro increased. Then for shield throw, we get the aggro increase and consecutive use. Then for stalwart bastion, we don't select anything. Then for swift healing, get the healing transfers and consecutive use. For invincible wall, get the targets expand and skill distance increased. For curse explosion, get the damage increase. Then for provoking roar, get the effect duration and cooldown reduction. For counter barrier, select the cooldown. For touch of despair, get all three, so radius increased, effect duration, and curse. Then for blessed barrier and time for punishment, don't get anything. And finally, for a shot of victory, select the annihilation blade. Next we have weapon mastery, and this is how it should look like for the sword and shield. So take a look at the middle and get only the skillful block. Then now go to the bottom and select everything from the max health until the steely physique. And now lastly go all the way to the top and get that entire row. And then again, this is how it should look like for the wand. So you again start in the middle and get these 4 nodes. Then afterwards go to the top and get that entire row. And then last but not least, go all the way to the bottom and select these last 3 nodes. Next, let's take a look at our gear. And all of these items you can easily farm yourself, which means that I specifically found items that only require for you to grind specific spots, and not use auction house if you don't want to. And also, if you're looking for leveling or farming gear setup, then I recommend for you to watch my leveling guides, which are already up on the channel. So first off, we are using the Carnix's Nether Blade, with traits like the max health, hit chance, and heavy attack chance. All of this gear should be at its max level, and you can get this item's crafting recipe from the Death Abyss. Next we have the Lecorious Coveted Tome, with traits like the hit chance, heavy attack chance, and buff duration. You can get it from the Cave of Destruction. Next we have the Mask of the Resistance, with max health, magic evasion, and ranged evasion. You can only get it from the Precious Blessing pouch, or from the rare headgear chest. Next we have the Supreme Devotion with mana regen, skill damage resistance, and debuff duration. You can get it from the Cave of Destruction. Next we have the Shock Commander Plate Armor with max health, melee evasion, and ranged evasion. You can get it from bunch of purple chests or by defeating the Demon Hoof Shaman. Next we have Nature's Hand Gloves with max health, melee evasion, and added attack speed. You can get it from the Cave of Desperation or the Temple of Slaughter. Next we have the elusive Hexweaver Pants with max health, melee evasion, and debuff duration. You can get it by defeating the Excavator 9 or the Acid Ant. Next we have the Shaw Commander Sabatons with max health, melee evasion, and ranged evasion. And as we have two pieces of this set, so you will get more damage reduction. Next up we have the Color of Decimation with max health, skill damage boost, and buff duration. You can get it by defeating the Kovazen. Next we have the Ancient Saurodoma Bracers with mana regen, skill damage resistance, and debuff duration. You can get it from the purple armor chests or from the Tyrant's Isle. Next we have the Etched Alabaster Band with max health, skill damage boost, and buff duration. You can get it from the Precious Blessing Pouch or by defeating the Demon Hoof Shaman or the Tracker. Next we have the Sapphire Dimensional Band with max health, skill damage boost, and buff duration. You can only get it from the purple armor chests. And finally we have the Belt of the Combat Proofs with max health, skill damage resistance, and debuff duration. You can get it by defeating the NPCs such as the Grey Listen Sentry and the Shade Wizard. Last but not least, if at this current moment you only have blue gear, then don't worry, because that gear doesn't really matter, and you will soon enough start changing it for the purple pieces. The setup that I showed is the best current gear that anyone can farm, but no matter what gear you choose, this build will still work fine. But the setup is just an example of what good items with good traits will look like. Next up, let's take a look at our gear upgrades. This game doesn't have a very typical gear progression, so by this I mean that you will have to upgrade pretty much anything you get. So you'll go from grey to green to blue and finally to purple. No matter at which stage of progression you're watching this video, just keep upgrading your equipment to their max level. And then when you get better gear, just transfer the experience from the old one to the new one. As for my gear recommendations, when you reach level 50, just farm accessible gear by doing open world dungeons. Also, you want to extract traits from gear for Lucent. And on top of that, you will need to turn important purple gear that you don't use into lithographs, and then sell them on the auction house. Last but not least, for your traits, just prioritize the ones that give you the highest damage. And don't forget that you can acquire new traits by using the trait unlock stone. Next up we have the stats, and depending on your gear you should adjust them accordingly. The goal for your endgame build is to reach 60 strength, 30 dexterity, and 30 perception, and then put the rest of your points into wisdom, and ideally we would get it to 30 as well. For PvE, we will care mainly about maximum damage, tankiness, and healing, so putting points into dexterity and strength is our main important goal. Then we get each attribute until 30 points, and then from here we just stack strength as much as possible. Next we have our Guardian choice, and this creature is a special transformation that can add offensive or defensive buffs to your character for 30 seconds. And for our build, the best option is the Shade Revenant Steno. This Guardian launches projectiles every second that can crit and heavy attack. Since our build is super tanky, so this is a great way where we can get easy and high damage. Overall, this is the best Guardian for dealing damage and for PvE. And now finally we have come to the gameplay. And at the start I will show you a bunch of different rotations, and then at the end I will summarize your overall playstyle and what you want to keep doing. So first off we have our engage combo, which we start by using the provoking roar, then the shield throw, then piercing strike, then touch of despair, then time for punishment, and then we finish it off with the annihilation blade. This rotation allows you to quickly engage the boss by applying the taunt, and then using a bunch of quick damage skills to help you keep doing a bunch of damage and holding the aggro. Next we have our main DPS rotation, in which we use the Annihilation Blade, then Touch of Despair, then Piercing Strike, and then we finish it off with a Shield Throw. As we have very few DPS skills, so we mainly want to use this rotation after the first engage combo, and then always whenever it comes off cooldown. And the idea behind this one is to use the Annihilation Blade for the damage increase, and then throw as much damage at the boss as possible. Then next up we have our second DPS rotation, which is meant for more burst damage. So this time again we start with the Annihilation Blade, then we use the Shield Throw, then Piercing Strike, then Touch of Despair, and then we finish it off with the Cursed Explosion. Overall, this is the best combo to deal as much damage as possible, But as we are primarily a tank and a healer, so this is not our main priority. And now finally we've come to the last part, where I explain all of our defensive options. These are your main tools that we should prioritize all of our attention on. So we got Stalwart Bastion, Shield Survival Technique, Invincible Wall and the Counter Barrier. All of these skills will protect your party with buffs, shields and other damage reduction, and they should be used depending on the situation. While on the other hand, we have the Blessed Barrier and the Swift Healing. Blessed Barrier I usually save for emergency heals when my party gets in real trouble, and then the rest of the time I just keep using the Swift Healing whenever it comes off cooldown. If I'm playing in a group with a healer, then I just focus on defending my teammates and healing myself. But if I'm solo or in a group and without a healer, then I focus on tanking while healing the guys that are the lowest HP, and that's about it. So if you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe and comment. If you're interested in more content, then check out my channel and I will see you in the next one. So take it easy, peace.